So today's topic is very needed. It's very needed for our small business because a lot of us, we have never worked with the government in this scale. And in the past, when you are a successful small business owner, you probably were so proud of saying, well, I succeed because I used my money and being successful, and you never really got any loan, and you don't even have a credit to get loan, and you never really had a government to help you with PPP kind of thing. So the pandemic really changed us, okay? The pandemic brought small businesses in front of the government. So we are kind of an open book to the government now because we applied for our small business loans and we got benefited from PPP, and people are getting stimulus check and they're getting UI payment, $600 extra a week. So just that alone was $2,400 a month coming into the pocket. So we are drenched with government money. The money we did not make, but the money is given to us, so we need to answer a very key question. And are you in compliance with the government requirement? So that is really the focus of today. I kind of want to go through all of these government assistance we have in our system so far and to figure out which one is the one, what are the areas that you need to pay attention, and hopefully give you a solution. Of course, my solution is simple, and you're looking at Community CPA. So if you think that you're not in compliance, you have a challenge, you know where to go. We are right here. So in terms of solution, it's simple. However, I want to lead you to understand why those compliance are existed and where they are in the program, so you can absolutely be smart about your own money, the money you received from the government. And today's webinar is largely me talking to you. You're taking notes. I don't plan to share any PowerPoint, even though I do have my guides to go through items with you. And I have seen some new names coming up. So this webinar is titled as How Not to Get Audited After COVID-19. So why after COVID-19? Because all these free money coming in and it made it available. That's a government job. And so they will come back to look at who get the money, why you're getting the money, did you use the money properly? So all of that follows. And those people who doesn't know me, and my name is Ying Sa. I want two things. I want to brag about myself just for two small things, okay? Number one is I'm sitting on National Taxpayer Advocacy Panel, which is a advisory committee made up by some folks from different selected people from the country. We sit in one place and we give advices to IRS. So folks who are on this panel, and I have to tell you that I have gone through all kind of scrutiny by the federal agency. So, I'm proud of myself to be able to make into that advisory committee. So I want you to know that I am on there. And if you have recommendations for IRS, or IRS has done something you really don't think it should happening to anybody, and come to me and I will send your issue and provide you solution and being in the committee. And then I also have the second thing I want to mention to you is the book I wrote. It's called Appointment with Ying at 8 a.m. Yes, 8 a.m. everything starts. So the book is talking about starting up a business. And I am so proud to tell you that that book is not a cut and paste out of the internet. And it is also not college textbooks that I got from my 30 years ago in college. No. This book, it is 20-some years practice and appointments I meet with people, and I counted roughly, I had about 20,000 appointments in the past many years working in this Community CPA platform. And with those appointments I meet and I talk and I taught, and I know that I have some valuable license I can give you. So that is a concentration of those licenses related to starting up a business. I am working on my second book called Developing a Business. After you start it up, you develop. That is the appointment with Ying at 10 a.m. Yes, I want your business to start at 8 a.m., develop at 10 a.m. I want it to grow very fast. So that's how the book is going to be labeled at. And our firm, as you know, and is a CPA firm. We have 3 offices, Des Moines, Iowa City, Bloomington in Minnesota. And what I really want to tell you is YouTube. If you get on YouTube, and you should see our channel, and I want to just quickly show you. And here on the YouTube, this is YouTube channel, you will see all of our webinars from the past, okay? And here I talked about the EIDL loan and the payroll tax deferrals. This is a really good information. I'll tell you that, folks. EIDL just got open. And if you have not really understand what EIDL loan is doing for you, you need to listen to this webinar. And also go to see my case study, PPP, for sole proprietorship and LLC. Do you know that PPP is still open? It's going to close at the end of this month. So if you have not applied and you think you are eligible, but you did not, well, there you go. You need to listen to that webinar and really dive into that and hurry up, right? Time is running out. And with that, and let's dive into the core issue we are facing today, because we want to know that the free money we receive, what kind of compliance we are experiencing, we're going to be having. And right before that, I want to say that it's a free webinar, so take our information with grain of salt, and don't hang up on things that you thought is one way and I said in different ways. And don't do that to yourself. Just be open-minded and listen to me and come back to our firm, and we can provide more detailed service to you. Okay. Now let me ask you. So how much of a free assistance from government we got so far? And maybe you think of PPP loan right away. I'll tell you that we have total of 7. Total of 7 that is already out. And if COVID-19 doesn't get healed, and we might have more, but this is the 7. Number 1, stimulus check. Number 2, the $600 unemployment insurance people are getting through the state workforce. Okay, those 2 are what I called on the 1040 side. So this is the personal side of compliance. Then you have EIDL loan and the loan advance. That's number 3. Number 4, PPP loan. Okay. And PPP loan and the PPP forgiveness, right? That's our number 4. Our number 5, retention credit for employer. And the number 6, a 6.2% Social Security tax withholding delaying for 2 years. That's what we call payroll tax deferral. That's our number 6. Our number 7 is local government grants. Many of you got local government grants. And so those are free money from the government. And how are we going to safeguard ourselves as a small business, and to make sure that we don't end up being the victim of misunderstanding of government rules and regulation, then got penalized, and we got $10,000, then we ended up paying back $30,000. So that is not the purpose of government giving free money. They really meant to give that to you, but they do have compliance requirement. And this is what we're focusing on. So whenever we talk about federal dollars, folks, I'll tell you 2 stories in my practice. And one gentleman, and from, is a new immigrant from Africa, and coming to this country, and there's maybe around 200, 300 refugee families, they speak this specific language. So it is a very close-held immigrant group, and they were all together. And this gentleman is educated, so he started doing tax filing services for his fellow people. In Africa, they live in the same tribe, so family boundary, like in our in American sense, is very blurred. They're not really, the husband and wife, uncles and the aunts. So they're just all live in the one big, huge tribe life kind of. But this gentleman has done child credit claim, and because he is, he's fairly educated, so he was doing tax return for folks and get investigated by the federal government, by IRS, and he ended up in jail for 4 years because he was taking the child from one family to another and claiming child tax credit. Of course it is wrong, okay? Nobody's going to sit there saying he's right. But, and what I am saying, what I want to tell you is that sometimes the small business owners are doing something wrong. It's not because they know that if they do this wrong, they're going to go to jail for 4 years. All they understand is that maybe it is wrong, maybe it is not right, but I don't really, I think it's helping my folks is more important, so I think it's okay. I'm not cheating anybody's money, and I'm just getting the tax credit. That's exactly what he was thinking. But look what happened. And so he ended up in jail. And he had 7 of his little kids, and the youngest one was only a few months old. Okay? So I will tell you that the gentleman is absolutely handsome, very presentable. I'll say that if he become Obama kind of person, I would say that he looks like one. Okay? So it's really, I am saying that is not because they are right, this gentleman is right, we should not send anybody in jail. I'm not going there. And I have my own opinion about this kind of thing, but I want you to understand the violation of federal regulation is a serious crime. It is not something you can just say that, oh yeah, I meet someone nice, so I'll be getting away. No, you don't get away from that. The people who come to the prosecutors, who come to charge you for the fraud, for the crime, there's no mercy. It doesn't matter you speak English or not. It doesn't matter you are a minority or not. It doesn't matter you're green, black, and white. It doesn't matter. And they just come in. They know that you have violated the rules, and here you should be penalized. So with that, I don't want to give any excuses for our small business because I really want to protect you. So don't use language as a reason, oh, I don't understand it, that's why I made mistake. It is good with me. When you say that to Ying, you say that, Ying, I did this because I don't understand the language. It's good with me, but it's not good with the federal government. Okay, I understand because I am coming from the minority background, and I am literally the person who doesn't speak English. So the first word I learned was the F word, and that I used that very efficiently for a while and didn't realize how bad it was. Okay? So I understand, but that understanding doesn't translate into forgiveness when you have issues on hand that you did something that is not appropriate. So I want to say that generally speaking, when you use federal dollars, you are exposed to federal law, including criminal statutes such as making false statement to SBA, to IRS, to the government agency, and conspiring to defraud the United States and submitting false claims. So those are the big title of crimes, and you could easily subject when we don't use the federal dollar properly. And then, of course, the Attorney General, Mr. Rosen, and he already said that, and he will use the False Claim Act. He will use this one and to prosecute people who are not doing it right and falsely claim for payment from the government. So that is on the news, and you can Google and you'll find his name. He says that. the Treasury Secretary Mnuchin, and also raised the stake of regulation, saying that you have to the business people has to sign this certification for what they get from the government. And if you read that certification, it tells you that if you sign this knowingly, you didn't have hardship, and you didn't spend the money on the payroll, and you didn't really pay the money on the rent. You used the money, bought a new car, bought a convertible, things like that. And if you knowingly you signed it, that's a criminal record. So having said enough about federal prosecutors, what they would do to people who are not in compliance, and now let's take a look at the stimulus check and that $600 unemployment insurance claim folks are getting. Those $600 are coming into you as a 1099 miscellaneous income. If you remember, when you claim unemployment insurance, at the end of the year, they give you a little printout with all the monies that you are getting. And you know that people who claim those monies is come back to your 1040 as your income. And you know the stimulus check is also subject to income level. And let's say if you are sole proprietor and you said that, well, I used to make $50,000 income, and because pandemic I didn't really make it, now I claim unemployment. Because you are claiming unemployment, you got the 600, but in your 2020, and you are saying that, well, look, and my business is really going down, and I didn't make anything, and the government have a right to come back to look at your business tax return and look at your Schedule C and saying that, oh, well, you said that you're not making it, so we want to audit you. And what if the government audit you and come back and says, we think that you actually made $50,000 profit? What does that do to you? That will take your unemployment backwards. Those claims you had, it will be denied. So that is the 2020, okay? To prevent the audit, at our firm, we have this audit prevention program where we actually take the data in from the government. So let's say if you come in to do taxes, or, you have a business, we actually go to the government to download all the data that related to your business, related to your 1040, and we look at what they have compared to what you report to us. Because sometimes maybe you forgot to tell us one thing, but the government knows you do. Then we can properly have you come up with your document, so we can properly file your return. In that case, you will dramatically reduce the possibility getting audited. And tax planning is another thing that we tell people that in the tax world, the most important thing is, number one, accounting. I'll tell you why, but I'll say number one, accounting. Number two is tax planning. You want to plan right before the year end. Your business year end, probably December. So right before that is October and November. You plan for that. You know what you owe. You know what you need to do. And then that is the time for you to properly, legitimately reduce taxes. So here, I just offered you a scenario where you got your small business going on your 1040. You claimed $600 a week on unemployment benefit due to your small business. Then there you filed it. IRS not happy with your business, or maybe you didn't do the audit prevention things and you got audited. If they corrected your taxes, they corrected a lot more than just taxes this year, because 2020, we all got government money. Okay. Number two, remember we have the 7 things. Number 1 is your stimulus check, and then number 2 is your $600 unemployment payment. Okay, so we covered the 2 already on the 1040. Now I'm going to cover number 3, which is your EIDL loan. Your EIDL loan, And that is the money you applied online. So they just opened up again yesterday. So you can apply for EIDL loan to help with your business. This EIDL loan is a special kind of loan, and it is only for people who are negatively impacted by disaster. So COVID-19 is a disaster. We knew that. So which business did not get affected by EIDL, by the disaster? Every business. I'll tell you that even the business that's really busy, for example, grocery stores, they are busy, but do you know that they're struggling with people? Nobody wants to come to work. And actually, the $600 unemployment benefit that we give out to folks negatively impact small business because business couldn't find anybody want to work. They all make more there than coming to work. And of course, I'm not here to criticize whichever way it is. Of course, it supplied people enough money that so they can stay home and hide away and preventing virus to spread. From that angle, it is such a great idea. They should pay even more. But from business standpoint, it negatively impacted small business, big time. So with that, the business which is booming for COVID-19 also get negatively impacted because they don't have enough people, so they make mistakes on their orders, and then they lose money because of that. So there's a lot of side effect to business, and that is coming from COVID-19. So I say most of the business are eligible for economic injury disaster loan application. So you have your eligibility met. Now you apply for the loan. Then one thing we need you to understand is that that loan is not just you get it so you buy a convertible. No, that loan is only for working capital. Okay, and because of you are qualified for EIDL loan, and that also means that you do have a business. So with that, your tax return that got affected by EIDL loan, that will be your 1040 Schedule C, and maybe your 1040 Schedule E, and for sure S Corp 1120S, 1120 C Corp, 1065 the partnership, and the 990 the nonprofit. The nonprofit can apply for this loan as well, and this loan was subject to this kind of review. Number one, SBA can review you because that's their loan. They are the one underwrote the loan, so they can review you. The lender can review you, right? Because the SBA loan comes in, and if you already have another SBA loan going with a bank, now you got this SBA loan, then your lender would review to make sure you use working capital on EIDL loan, and your SBA loan is being used for something else. So, every loan you get is with a purpose. You have to understand when you apply for loan, that's why they ask you for projection. They want to know what you use the loan for. But if you already use SBA loan, EIDL loan for working capital, then your other loans will be used for other things, right? So the lender would review you because you have all these relationships with SBA. Then IRS would review you. IRS would audit your income tax return and check on whether you double dipped on your expenses. So for example, the IRS comes in, they look at your utility expense, okay? And they want to know that who pays the utility expense. And you say that, well, my EIDL loan pays for it. But the IRS also noticed that you have a PPP. You got a PPP. Your PPP account was paying for this utility. That should never even be on your income statement. Okay? So these are the things the compliance will come in. The compliance will nail you for not using the money properly. And EIDL loan, remember I said it's for working capital only? What is working capital? An easy way to put it, easy way to understand it, working capital equals to your asset, your current asset minus current liability. So what are the most normal current assets? The current asset, normal one, that would be your receivable, and that would be your inventory, okay? And it's not your fixed asset. That is not your current asset, right? So you can use that money to buy inventory. You can use that money to figure out your receivable write-off. Maybe you're supposed to get paid $1 million, but this person just didn't pay you, so you lost $1 million in income, and you can use the working capital to do it. You can use EIDL loan to help. What is current liability? Current liability, your credit card payment, your payables, the bill that you need to pay to Community CPA that hasn't really made, so that's sitting on the payable. Those are current liabilities, and your payroll liabilities, okay? But of course, you want to be careful, but it should not be the part of the payroll PPP loan covered, because that is forgiven. You didn't have that expense. You didn't have that taxes, even though you paid it, but you cannot use EIDL loan to cover it again. All right? So that goes your EIDL loan and on working capital. And the EIDL loan are really important for people to know that you cannot use EIDL loan to pay dividends, bonus to the owner, to people who owns the work, to owns the company. Because why? Because you should not use government money to make yourself richer. Small business owners, I will say to you that be really careful of using the government money. And if you perform service, let's say you work 18 hours a day, and you really deserve to be paid more than $25,000 a year, folks. So in that case, I would properly increase your salary, pay it out of EIDL loan, but don't just write a check, say, well, that's my bonus. You see how the same money goes to you, but you say, that's my bonus. That's not in compliance. But if you run through the payroll, paid yourself $50,000 on salary, and that is in compliance with the EIDL loan. So there is the same result, folks. The same ending, but how you approach it. So knowing the rule, it is so much more important today than ever, because you don't have government money running in your vein. But right now, everybody does. Okay? So that's why it needs to become a knowledge. And if I finish this webinar, I make you worried. You know what? I did a job. Because that is a job I need to do. I need us to be informed, so you know how to deal with your situation. Okay? Now, for EIDL loan, and there is already an established requirement for documentation. I'm going to read this for you because this is SBA's writing. I didn't change any words, but I read it out to you, then I will explain to you in Chinglish, in my way of English, so that you understand. For EIDL loan, this is just for EIDL loan, okay? And this is what they require. They say, for SBA said, for the most recent 5 years, this is related to the document you need to keep, and for EIDL loan. The SBA said, for the most recent 5 years until 3 years after the date of maturity, including extensions, or the date this loan is paid in full, whichever comes first. In addition, you have to keep itemized receipts, paid invoices, canceled checks, and the contracts for all loan funds spent. This is their wording. So now, let me give you my easy way to understand. So let's say today is January the 1st, 2030. Of course not, but let's pretend. Today is January the 1st, 2030. And you will keep all your accounting records from January 1st 2025 to January the 1st, 2030. So this is the 5 years they're asking. The accounting record for your company, they want you to keep 5 years. And if your loan finished on January the 1st, 2030, you will just keep this for 3 more years until January 2033. Okay? Before that day comes, you're going to keep that record for 3 years, but you want to have 5 years the loan document plus all of the receipts related to every penny you spent on EIDL loan. That sounds really a lot. I know some of you probably sit there and goes, well, Ying, I'm just not going to apply for it then. No, don't say that. And compliance should not be a burden. Compliance should be our second nature. You know that it is, it comes with it. It's almost like a college student. If they rely on their mom and dad paying for their tuition fee, I'm afraid that they have to listen to their parents a little bit more than those kids who are on their own. Don't you agree? So basically, we're all become the college kids and relying on parents' income for a little bit. And now, the compliance is coming in, and we should just figure out a way to know what they require and then start doing this right from the day one. All right? So in short, you really just need a good accounting system. So when you have EIDL loan coming in, and you put that on a separate bank account. And so every time there is a payment going out of there, you keep a general ledger, you keep your accounting record, and then you file them away. You put them in the binder. It's not that hard. If you are even more advanced, like how our firm is, we are digitalizing everything. So your receipt will be scanned in, and you don't need to keep anything. We have all the records here for all of the government required compliance. Okay. Now, I sort of finished the EIDL side of things, and remember that EIDL is our number 3 kind of thing, and we did a stimulus check, $600 UI, and then now we just finished EIDL. Now I want to talk about PPP, okay? And the PPP has 5 important compliance requirements. Number 1, you have to be eligible to apply for PPP, okay? And number 2, justification of loan amount. You have to keep records why you applied for the loan amount the way you had, okay? Then number 3, satisfaction of loan forgiveness, which means that when you apply for loan forgiveness, all of the records that come with it, you have to satisfy the lender's requirement. That banker you are talking to, getting your PPP, they will be telling you what you need, and you want to have all of that in place. And the proofs that loan proceeds were spent for eligible purposes. So proofs of spending. What are the proofs? And a cancel check is approved, a invoice is approved, a statement is approved. So you want to have all of that in place. And the last, but not the least, is good faith certification. Good faith certification takes all the liability away from the lender. So you, small business owner, you're on your own with this guarantee, because you certify that nothing but truth, and I am criminally prosecutable if I did something wrong, basically. So that is a certification you sign at the end, then the money will be forgiven. And of course, majority of us, and I cannot imagine, I have not seen any small business who is not eligible for COVID-19. Unless you have vaccine for all of your customer and your employees and yourself, so you're just living in heaven and without telling us, right? And otherwise, you are eligible. But you have to prove that by applying for the loan and then demonstrate losses. So how do you demonstrate losses? Your accounting record should show just that. All right? And then, of course, your loan amount The lender who underwrites your loan probably already asked you a bunch of stuff and you already submitted, you got approved. I would consider that for people who already got approved for the loan and you are actually gone through the justification of the loan amount, okay? And plus, PPP rules was changing. The regulation was clarifying itself, almost like baby change diapers. So, our understanding was evolving with time. But as long as your record at that time was meeting that understanding, and I am sure the government is understanding of how they change their rules, right? And your PPP affecting your financial statement a big time. Because everything related to PPP cannot come to income statement. And especially the one forgiven, that cannot be expenses anymore. So you really need to have your accounting financial statement done properly. And if you ever, never think bookkeepers are important, if you always think that their job you don't need, think it again, because it's not the same time anymore. And accounting, bookkeeping, financial statement becomes so important. And because we are like the big businesses who use the federal dollars, who get federal contract, small business suddenly becoming a business that using federal dollars, using government dollars, and we are no longer small like we don't know. We are small, but then we have governmental requirement just like the big one. Okay, so you would subject to the lender review, you subject to SBA review, and you also subject to public shaming. Do you realize that? And if you don't use your PPP dollar properly, do you realize that you could be put on the newspaper, everybody talk bad about you? So I call that public shaming. And those are the things as a business people we want to safeguard. We want to safeguard our doing, our actions, making sure that you are in compliance. Because PPP is a public knowledge. There's no secret. You're getting PPP. Okay? But we want to use that dollar properly and take a good stewardship about the money and be in compliance. That's the only way to get away from all of these drama, all of these publications or public shaming that would destroy the business. Okay, and using PPP dollars, we talked a lot about that. And in my webinars, I showed you in the beginning, and we talked about what those are. I have a lot of PPP webinars archived in YouTube. Subscribe to our channel and getting updates from time to time. And today's webinar is also going to be on the YouTube within 24 hours, so you can go check on that too. And then with PPP dollars, the key things when IRS come around to audit your business tax return, what they're looking to see whether your PPP forgive dollars covered any of the expenses here. They're going to be looking at your rent, goes, where is your May and June rent? Or you say, oh, right here, we paid that late, so we paid in July. And then the next question would be, did you receive PPP and that May and June rent was actually forgiven? If you say, oh yeah, I forgot, I am sorry, and this should not be expense, that is already forgiven, then you are opening up two compliance review. Number one is your taxes. Number two is your SBA PPP compliance. Okay, so those are the things I want to lay it out because it's coming. Okay, and the only advice I could give you in this regarding to this is you do accounting properly. PPP money should stay on the liability side and then be used on reversal on the liability, should not be expenses on your income tax return. Now, let's talk about, we talked about stimulus check and the $600, right? That's our number 1, 2. And number 3, we talked about EIDL loan. Then number 4, we talked about PPP loan. And number 5, I want to talk about 5 and 6 together. So the number 5 is retention credit for employer, and that is the government subsidized. And then 6.2% payroll deferral, that is also a subsidized dollar. So which means you're actually holding on to the payroll 941 money, you don't pay, you use it for your business, but you pay it later. Okay, so this is also a benefit come out of CARES Act. So business should take advantage of that, and that subsidized dollars also have requirement. The kind of requirement they have for that is to say if you do decide to have the retention credit applied to you, retention credit is huge. Okay, retention credit means that if you qualify and you don't have to pay 941 taxes and for a period of time, and that is completely forgiven. That is to say that you don't need to submit 941. Okay, but the eligibility is there is eligibility. Number 1, you cannot get PPP. So if you have a PPP, you don't have this retention credit. Because that retention credit is really giving money back to you. It is your money. They refund you money, okay? So you don't have to pay these taxes. So number 1, you cannot have PPP. Number 2, and you need to suffer loss, and they have a threshold for you. Not like PPP loan, they don't seem to give you, say, oh, you have to lose your revenue by 50%. No, they didn't say that. But this one says you have to lose your revenue by 50%, okay? And they also say that, or maybe you're partially or completely closed due to executive orders. So you have to study the eligibility and to make sure that you're eligible, so that become a compliance, and they will ask you. If you happen to take both, and you need to reverse one of them. And I know there's quite a few business did end up taking both. Let me tell you how that happened. Because when PPP started in March, the first round of PPP went out so fast, a lot of people, a lot of small business didn't even smell the dollars. It was not there, okay? And they were told, sorry, money ran out, and we apologize, but our system doesn't work, so you didn't get it. Okay, that's what the bank told us, right? So a lot of the small business are not getting the PPP. But that time, retention credit is already in. So people could apply for retention credit, got the first quarter retention credit already, but the PPP wasn't in place until later. So you kind of get caught in, oh, I got a retention credit, but later on I also got PPP. Now what am I going to do? And I don't have an answer for you. But I do know that you cannot have both. So I think that I'm still waiting for clarifications, but I can imagine the business should pay back to the retention credit and not get penalized. So that should be in place, but it is not yet clearly indicated. So we have an issue, but we don't have much of a solution. But this is one of the compliance you have to fix, okay? So once you're eligible, and the math is simple to calculate, and the form is also simple. It's a form called 7200. And this retention credit requires a lot of documentation. And it says that you have to show documentation how you calculate it, and you have to figure out the amount of the credit, and then you have to submit that to your IRS with the form 7200. So, and you have to keep the record for at least 5 years. So that's keep all the records at least 5 years. So that's what they're requiring you to do. So these are the things for retention credit. The government has a compliance requirement, and just make sure that you don't throw away anything for next, let's say 5 years, right? Because we heard the EIDL loan requirement is 5 years, and we heard the retention credit for 5 years, but IRS generally require you to keep everything for at least 3 years, up to 7 years. So, if you think of those years, and you should just keep them for a while, for 5 years. And then the compliance on the on the payroll deferral I was talking about, right? That is our deferral together with the retention credit. The retention credit and the 6.2% payroll deferrals are kind of together. The 6.2% is part of the PPP. So basically what happened is you as an employer don't pay Social Security taxes. You can pay them in 2021, you can pay them in 2022. 50% in 2021, 50% in 2022, no penalty, no interest charges, and it is a free ride. So that is the government subsidized help for you, but you need to keep record of how you calculated, how much you deferred, and the 941 form will be renovated. So we will have a new form coming up that will keep track of those deferrals that we were talking about. Compliance on that is just keep a good record on the payroll. Payroll normally folks have to keep a really good record because you ended up needing to do the W-2, W-3 filings at the end. So our last free government dollars is a local government grant. Local government grant has a local requirement. And what you need to do is, let's say if you got a local government grant, but you don't really know what kind of compliance requirement you have, you can literally contact our office. We can help you to lay out what you need to do. Okay, and it is really a prevention. It's as important as vaccine for COVID-19, folks, to get the compliance in your system right now. Don't wait till the end, because what's going to happen to you is if you don't have them in place and you are running business and finally get to the point you feel like you recovered, then here government come around and asking you all the money back because you didn't do it right, because you don't have any record, right? So don't make yourself be in that position. Just really put in compliance right away, okay? And compliance is part of recovery, and I want you to take this pandemic as an opportunity to do better at your books and record. Small business are notoriously known as people, we're just free spirit. You know, we want to do things, but we hate paper. And we want to save taxes, but we don't want to think along the way. We just want to come to the tax preparers one day and have them do magic. No magic. And Community CPA don't have magic either. But what we do is we do understand the compliance requirement. So we can put that in place for you. And when you come to the end of the year, you will enjoy paying taxes. And can you imagine someone at the end of the year enjoying paying taxes? I'm telling you, we have clients that way. Because we have done such a good job, the taxes we pay, it is something they would enjoy to pay. Because they have already had enough and a very reasonable tax saving in order them to go on to do better business. Okay? So compliance, it is a part of recovery. Compliance is life. Compliance is a small business life. It wasn't exactly that way, but it is really this way now. Okay? The only way to run a long-lasting business is to survive of government compliance. Who never get compliance audit by government? If you are a small business, you never got one, trust me, you will get one. Everyone, if you run business successfully, you will get one. Maybe 2, maybe even 3. But it doesn't matter. It's part of life, okay? So you just have to know that it is part of your business plan. You're going to plan for being compliance reviewed, so you are going to do it today to get yourself in order, okay? Accounting is important. Trust me, bookkeeping is such an outdated word. It is the bean counters are already retired. They don't belong to contemporary today's world anymore, okay? There's no such thing about bean counter, even though in my office I have this huge, oh yeah, look, I have this huge jar of beans, but trust me, I never count them. And they are just here. And for decoration purposes, to remind me about history. And nowadays, accounting is technology. Accounting is efficiency. So make sure when you think of accounting, you have a headache, that is because your accountant is still counting those beans. No, they should not count those beans. They should just eat them. Okay? And now, let's just see. And I want to conclude this webinar by giving you a 2020 outlook. Okay? In 2020, just set up your physical matters properly. And know that my whole point to you is today's business, today's small business is not the same as yesterday because we're trenched with government funds. If you never got any government funds, sure, you might be still as before, but you're also not going to survive. Pandemic really did not give you a way to not take government funds and survive. And that government money, even though it is from government for assistance, but to me, it is an equalizer for inflation. If I got PPP and you don't, it's not that I am better than you. No, I am just normal because the market is this way. Everybody is getting PPP. If you did not get, you are suffering from inflation. My dollar worth $1, your dollar worth $2. Your dollar actually is $2. So you will be spending your money and you're probably not going to survive. There's many businesses will close, okay? But the one who will survive are the ones properly manage government money. So we want you to know that government assistance is a positive thing, but government compliance is a way of life. And for you to counter that, for you to survive without losing sleep is to do your accounting right and do everything right from now on, because we're not in full recovery yet. You still have time. And I know you're not serving your normal customer numbers yet, but you want to start planning your compliance on every dollar you received. Trust me, if you do that, you will run a long-lasting business. That is our dream, right? That is small business owners' American dream, to run it big. And now it's a test for you. In order to run it big, you would have to be able to do big business things. What is that? Be able to compliance with the government requirement, be able to come up with beautiful reports so they can leave you alone. To do that, and we're here to help you, and I want you to be open-minded and knowing that we're in different time and you need different people to work on your book. People like Community CPA. And I am not shameful at all to say that, because we are a firm very good with implementing those compliance. And we don't act like police. We are your partner. And we know what you need to get done. We have compassion. We understand your language. Matter of fact, we speak 9 different languages, right? So you need to be the one decide on how to deal your fiscal matter for 2020. And you want to do audit prevention program, you want to do tax planning, and you want to file your return this year with all of these compliance in mind, come up with your financial statement for your business that is absolutely right, reflected IRS loan, reflected PPP, and getting your forgiveness into the bank, one shot, successful. Don't try to put it in, take it back. Oh, I made a mistake, let me try it again. And the bank don't like that. That sounds very fraudulent. So you want to get your ducks in a row, submit.